Hello everybody, it's Jen. Welcome back to another card in my holiday card series. I'm using this Snowflake stamp from Recollections, some cracked pistachio ink, this stamp set from Flickr that I bought at Tuesday Morning a couple years back, and some distress paper, which I find watercolor paper the easiest to do blending on. So a lot of this card is kind of hard to see on a video, but I'm using Versamark to stamp out the snowflakes so that I have a scene full of snowflakes. And so I needed to heat emboss as I went because I could not see the images at all until I had the silver embossing powder on them, and I just figured it was easiest to heat them as I went so that they didn't get smudged. I love the way silver embossing powder heats up with the heat tool. It's just so pretty. So behind my piece of paper here, I'm just using a 8.5 by 11 regular piece of cardstock that I've laminated. I find it's really easy to blend that way, and I think I learned that trick from Christina Warner. So here I'm just getting the final 3 big snowflake stamps on the card to see how much room I will have after those are on, and I'm going to heat emboss those as well. So just repeating the steps over and over. This is a very simple card that you could make numerous copies of. So I'm using a couple of the smaller stamp sets, getting the embossing powder on those as well, and you're starting to see the card come to life now. And so I realized after I get these done that I needed a few more snowflakes, so I'm bringing in this Lawn Fawn stamp set that has 3 smaller snowflakes, and that one is Critters in the Snow, I believe that one is. So I'm going to see what that looks like now with those stamped out and embossed, and see if I need to do any more stamping prior to doing the ink blending. And I am actually going to do, I believe, 1 or 2 more snowflakes, and then I'll be ready to do the distressing. So this is a heat emboss resist technique, so I'm going to be ink blending the entire background once I get this finished. And so I'm going to be using the cracked pistachio, which is a beautiful kind of minty green color. I thought it was just soft and pretty for a Christmas card with the silver embossing. So I have to work at this quite a bit. I have sped this portion of the video up by 4 times, and I decided that I needed a little bit darker around the edges just to have a little bit of dimension. So I grabbed the evergreen bough, and I'm just doing that lightly around all of the edges of the card just to bring in a little bit of darkness and some dimension. So once I get that on, then I'm going to come back with the cracked pistachio, and you can see that I'm just dabbing it off a little bit. That ink pad in particular of mine is really juicy. So what you want to do now is wipe off the, well, there's a cat, no big surprise there. You want to wipe off just using a dry cloth the snowflakes just so that you can get that ink off. And then all I'm using now is just some white acrylic paint on a stamp block. I've watered it down, and I'm just kind of making that come off the stamp block to make it look like snow, just to add a snow effect on top of the snowflakes. So I'm just using some gray cardstock. This is, I believe, Lawn Fawn Narwhal. And I'm using this Season's Greetings sentiment, and I'm going to stamp that down, and then I'm going to use white embossing powder just to make that pop on the gray, well, the gray silver cardstock. This is Simon Says Stamp detailed white embossing powder. It's absolutely fantastic if you're looking for a white embossing powder, I would highly recommend it. I'm just going to very quickly trim down the cardstock here so that I can get it to the desired width and length before adhering it onto the card. And really, this card was probably one of the quickest cards I've made. It takes a little bit of time doing the stamping and the heat embossing, but like I said, I do think you could make multiples of these quite quickly. So I've just laid down some foam adhesive to the back of the watercolor paper, which is slightly smaller than the card base, which is a standard A2 size card, which is fine because I really like how it leaves the white border and it matches the snowflakes. So there's what the card's going to look like, and then I'm just going to adhere the sentiment on. And that's pretty much it for my card today. So I hope you guys are enjoying. I hope you're having a wonderful December so far. Thank you all for watching the series, leaving wonderful comments. I have one more card left this week for the series, and then I will be moving on to other projects. So happy holidays and all the best this holiday season. Bye!